Trigger warning. Remember those people not too long ago that came from South Africa because they made up a genocide and they were like seeking asylum and some of them settled in... Yeah, well, one of them already killed his wife. I mean, this was on the 24th of May in Virginia. He strangled her to death. What's wild about it is my first thought was like, dang, maybe he did come over here to do that because maybe he'll get away with it. Maybe he'll get a pardon. Maybe. And not too long ago, that would have sounded ridiculous for me to say. But here we are. What if he does get a pardon? Like he'll claim like emotional distress or something. What if he does?
Trump said that people that were from South Africa were being violently killed and unalived over there, but they come over to this country and they're killing lives. I thought these were good people. Cape Town woman was allegedly killed by her husband in the United States. Kim White was strangled to death following a domestic dispute. Her husband, Alexander Town, has been charged with second-degree murder. In a statement, Fairfax County Police said Town was taken into custody without bail following the death of Kim White, originally from Cape Town, South Africa. On May 24th at 7:48 p.m., officers responded to a domestic incident inside a residence, Romal Court in Chantilly. A suspect reported that he had assaulted and killed his wife. Police said the victim was found suffering trauma to her upper body and was declared deceased at the scene. The guy below who unalived his wife. And the crazy thing is, they're such good people. I wonder if Trump is going to pardon this man. He's been giving out pardons like it's candy. So we'll see if he get pardoned.
Guys, do you know her? No? How about him? Come on, guys. They just got here. They only been here a few weeks. They are part of the posse that was being murked in their country that they have colonized, and Trump brought them over here. But here's the T-ho. This dude has murked his wife. He rustled her up, choked her out, and now she's a useless white crayon. Somewhere in the box. Maybe still in the freezer. Oh, he's been arrested. But here's the thing. White people are bringing crime to this country.
They're bringing
They're rapists. They're drugs mulers. They're just bad people. And your guy Trump said these people was going to make America great. They was going to contribute something to America. Well, fucking well. Can't make this shit up.
South African Kim Towns, unalive by the two hands of her husband. What do you think about that, Donald Trump?
Let's be clear about something right now. We are living with the consequences of humanitarian decisions that were made for applause, not accountability. There's a name we all need to say today: Kim Towns, a woman reportedly from South Africa, a woman who was unalived by two hands of her husband. That's the phrase being repeated, unalived, a euphemism that doesn't even begin to capture the brutal finality of her death. Now, we have to ask ourselves, how did we get here? Why are we hearing stories like this in the first place? Why are they so often tied to people who are supposedly fleeing danger, but then brought danger right into someone else's home? Here is the uncomfortable truth. Some of the very people who are granted refugee status in America or who came from refugee-protected communities abroad are now committing acts of violence against their wives, against their families, against their neighbors. And what's worse, some of them were brought in under Trump's own policies. The same Trump who was praised by many for extreme vetting or cracking down on illegal immigration also extended refugee privileges to people from certain zones, often for strategic or diplomatic reasons, not moral ones. And now, women like Kim Towns are paying the price. We were told they needed sanctuary, but in some cases, what we got was instability. What we got were ticking time bombs of unresolved trauma, unchecked misogyny, and violent tendencies being imported under the banner of mercy. This isn't about race. This isn't about nationality. This is about safety. This is about accountability, and it's about the failure of leadership to draw the line where it matters most.
TikTok, you all sure do pick and choose what y'all gonna talk about. Now, when they were advocating for these South African refugees to come over to the United States because they were so-called being mistreated and so-called having their land taken and so-called being racist towards you all were in agreement with that. But now that they've come over to the United States, no one is talking about that one South African so-called refugee expat that murdered his wife. Why y'all so quiet now? See, y'all already knew that those people were not being persecuted over there. You all knew that they wanted an all-white town. There's videos all over TikTok with this lady saying that they want just a all-white town. And South Africa said, yeah, no, we're not playing that. So now all of a sudden they're being mistreated. And now this man that brought his little funky tail over here, I done murdered that lady. Where's the outrage?
It hasn't even been 30 days. And we're learning that one of the white South Africans has his wife here in America. I'm going to get the details, bring it back to you. But they haven't been here for 30 days and he already, his wife, on American soil. I'm not laughing because I'm laughing because we were told that they were being persecuted in South Africa. We were told that they are upstanding, blah, 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 blah. American authorities had to arrest him. I'll be back with that story.
Congratulations, Orange Pooping Pants Man. You officially have your first murder from yourself, white South African that you decided to give asylum to. Yes, brother man waited when he came here. His wife is a teacher, and he was once upon a time an accountant, not a farmer like they want them to be. Then turn around and suffocate his fucking wife. The name is Towner, Towne, and the wife was a South African teacher, and he was an accountant. Now I'm patiently waiting to see, is he gonna get a pardon? Because you brought his ass here. You told him this is how our country run. So now he killed his wife. Can we all figure out what the hell? Please let me know.
Now, let's dig deeper. Kim Town's story, though tragically cut short, isn't an isolated anomaly. It's a symbol of a wider failure. Her case is currently circulating online in broken video clips, chopped up commentary, and reaction bait. She's not being mourned. She's being used. Her death turned into content. And in those clips, one phrase keeps repeating, unalive by two hands of her husband. Now we ask, who was her husband? Was he among those granted status? Was he someone relocated or sheltered by international leniency? Was he a product of systems that allowed broken men to slip through borders without true accountability? Whether in South Africa, the US, or Europe, what we are seeing is that too often the refugee pipeline has been co-opted. And instead of lifting up the most vulnerable women, children, victims of war, it has empowered violent men who simply change zip codes. These are not just failures in vetting. These are failures in moral judgment. These are failures in recognizing the cultural baggage that comes with imported misogyny. Donald Trump, for all his bravado about borders and bans, still approve refugee allocations, many of which were rooted more in optics than outcomes. These were moves designed to win talking points and balance victims, not ensure actual safety. You can't claim to be tough on immigration while simultaneously opening doors for potential abusers to slip under refugee protections. When Trump gave speeches about protecting American women, where was that energy when it came to protecting women from imported violence? Why are we seeing women in host countries or foreign wives of relocated men becoming the new casualties? It's because no one asked the hard questions. No one looked deep enough. No one wanted to seem inhumane. So instead, we chose silence over scrutiny. And now women like Kim Towns are dead. Not because we didn't have the ability to screen better, but because we didn't have the courage to say no. Let me say it again for those in the back. Granting refugee status to the wrong people is not charity, it's gamble. And right now we are losing that gamble. What happened to Kim Town is not just a personal tragedy, it's a geopolitical failure. It's a policy backfire. It's the cost of making mercy transactional. Because when we open our doors, whether under Trump or any administration, we made a sacred promise to protect both the people coming in and communities they were entering. But we broke that promise. We thought we were saving lives, but in some cases we imported threats. And those threats have names. Those threats now have stories. Those threats leave behind children and funerals and headlines that never tell full truth. We failed to ask the most basic questions. What values are these individuals bringing with them? How do they view women? Do they come from systems where domestic violence is normalized or ignored? Have they ever been held accountable before? We didn't ask those questions because asking them would have made us look intolerant. So we chose performative tolerance over real discernment. And while we hesitated, women like Kim Towns died. Now, I know what some people will say. Oh, but not every refugee is violent. Of course not. Many come here with dreams, dignity, and the desire to contribute. But when you ignore the small percentage who do bring harm, you're not being inclusive. You're being negligent. You're betraying the very people you claim to protect. We can't just look at death like it's statistic. Kim Towns wasn't a number, she was a person. She had dreams. Maybe she believed in her husband. Maybe she thought things would change. Instead, she was unalived by his two hands. And now what? Now we get chopped up videos that use her name for engagement. Now we get random mentions of Donald Trump in mid-sentence as a way to spark reactions online. That's not justice. That is exploitation. And let's talk about that too. The way this tragedy is being packaged. These clips don't provide insight. They don't offer stats or steps forward. They offer tragedy followed by phrase. What do you think about that? Donald Trump's. Then it cuts off. That's not journalism. That's bait. That's manipulation. That's empty vocation designed to distract, not inform. It says something deeply disturbing about our media culture, that a woman's murder is being used as a segue into political commentary, that a man's political brand is more compelling than a woman's death. Let me be clear, this isn't about attacking Donald Trump as a personality. It's about holding him accountable as a policymaker. He promised America would be safe. He promised borders would be strong. He promised only the best would be let in. And yet, here we are. If you give refugee status to individuals who then commit violence, you don't get to wash your hands off the outcome. You don't get to point fingers elsewhere. You own that mistake. This is not about nationalism. This is not about xenophobia. This is about one word: protection. Protection of women, protection of communities, protection of the sacred trust we break every time we prioritize global image over local safety. Kim Towns deserved better. Every victim of domestic violence deserves better. Every citizen, whether born here or newly arrived, deserves leaders who vet with wisdom, not optics. So to every administration, past, present, and future, here's the message. Stop letting tragedy be the proof of what you should have done right the first time. Because we are not just talking about policy failures. We are talking about body counts. And I, for one, refuse to be silent about that. Guys, drop a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. And also remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.